I'm not Stacey, okay? I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm Jasmine and I'm crazy, dude.
Chihuahua, shut the up.
Oh dear, Jasmine really seems to bring out the worst in Florian. Or is she just bringing out what he's truly like beneath the surface? You see, from the way that Stacey's acting, this behaviour might be happening more behind the scenes than we realised. And she isn't sure that she can live with it anymore.
I don't know how we get past this. I don't know how we figure this out.
I don't know if I want to be with somebody like you, dealing with this all the time.
After all these years, is this how Stacey and Florian end because of Jasmine? Well, before we get to that, let's rewind to the start. So we left them all after Brandon and Julia had won the group therapy challenge, and their prize was a night in the resort's honeymoon suite. So how did the pair spend their romantic evening together? Well, naturally, Julia invited everyone to their room for a party. And first to arrive is Jasmine.
Jazz, I'm gonna get something I'm not. Come on.
It's only the start of the night, but already I can sense that it's gonna get messy. Everyone has been through some intense therapy over the last few days, and they're all looking for an excuse to unwind, especially Jasmine. She's still reeling in the aftermath of her argument with Gino after he rejected her again.
I'm kind of down after having an argument with Gino. He was rejecting me. I'm going to the party by myself, and I really hope to have fun with everybody else.
Jasmine has taken it upon herself to act like the mother goose. She's taking Julia and Brandon under her wing because they seem to be having similar intimacy issues to her and Gino. The difference being, in this case, Julia is taking on Gino's role and Brandon is taking on Jasmine's. She makes a promise to Brandon, empathising with his situation, that she's going to speak to Julia to try and help them out in the bedroom. And in return, Brandon is going to help Jasmine out with Gino.
You talk to Jasmine, maybe I'll talk to Gino. Huh?
I help you. And will you do that for me, Brandon? Like, seriously.
Oh, I'd absolutely do that for you.
Brandon and Jasmine are on team I desperately want sex, and Julia and Gino are on team no, no, no. Who knows? Maybe this tag team might work. But as Gino joins Florian and Stacey by the jacuzzi, he reveals just how bad things are. But first, we get an all too rare glimpse of Gino's incredible haircut.
Come on, Gino!
It's an unofficial rule on this channel, alright?
It's the law!
We cannot skip even a solitary second of a hatless Gino scene. They're like gold dust.
Nice.
Now, as I was saying, while Jasmine unwinds with Julia and Brandon, Gino chooses to talk about it with Stacey and Jasmine's arch enemy, Florian. He ominously tells them both that he just doesn't feel like he can be himself around his wife anymore.
She can be fun and happy, and she has a great personality at times. And then,
And the second
I don't know,
is going to ruin
like
everything.
Jekyll and Hyde, and then she can instantly turn into the
Devil.
Calling his wife the devil? Wow, that's a very bold statement from Gino. Now, as we're well aware, Gino and Jasmine can both be very stubborn. They've been stuck in this nightmare for what feels like an eternity. Jasmine wants sex, and Gino refuses to give it to her until she meets a list of criteria. Criteria he claims she refuses to listen to.
I need consecutive days in a row that things are good between us. One day is not enough, and Jasmine's not getting that. And the fact that Jasmine isn't listening to me is frustrating.
Now, the problem is, Gino's wants, right, are very vague. He says he wants them to be good for a number of days, but I think what he really means is he wants Jasmine to behave exactly as he wants her to. He's withholding sex as a way of trying to get control. It gives the same kind of energy as Ari withholding Binny's passwords until he does exactly as she says. Only with these two it's sex, not passwords. Now, as the sun sets, Gino brings up Julia's party. But this is the first time that Florian is hearing about it.
The sweet party or whatever party's going on tonight. Julie, I think Julia's having a party.
Fred no invite us. That is disrespect.
Florian can't remember being invited, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't invited. Julia openly and publicly invited everyone to her sweet party. It was even caught on camera. But, admits Stacey, after the long day that we had after all that group therapy, it just slipped my mind. I forgot about it entirely.
We were invited to the party.
Okay, I have idea. Excuse me, boys. We're gonna have a party in the suite rooms.
Clearly, Florian wasn't listening because he becomes adamant that he was not invited to this party, and as a result, he works himself up into a fury. He feels disrespected. He genuinely believes that Julia has excluded him, only him, and invited everyone else. We know that isn't the case. But when Julia heads to the jacuzzi to rally the troops and get the party started, imagine her surprise when Florian acts like a child and begins sulking.
Let's go, guys. We have
So I think it's too late, to be honest with you. I think it's too late.
What happened?
Invite us before or no, like leftover, you know?
Florian has now been told by multiple people that they were all invited. It wasn't somehow a second-hand invite, and he also wasn't excluded or some kind of afterthought. They were all invited in exactly the same way as he was. But for some strange reason, Florian just won't listen, even when it comes straight from the horse's mouth.
Everybody invites.
I'm inviting you right now.
No, but right now, what?
Not really. No, just started.
No, it's started. No.
Here we have a grown-ass man throwing a temper tantrum, and frankly, it's embarrassing. Just look at Julia's face. She literally doesn't know what to do with him. He's refusing to acknowledge the truth. And the worst part is, he's now also refusing to let Stacey go to the party either. And Julia can't understand it. It's pissing her off.
I think in Florian just trying to make something for anybody give attention to him.
But I'm not here for this drama.
Heart. That is how young people now showing heart.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Julia resorts to taking the high road and leaving. She hasn't got time for this. She's not going to pander to Florian's immaturity. If he wants to stay outside and sulk, then go ahead and do that. Be my guest. But the sad part is, the real victim here is Stacey. While everyone else is enjoying a party, she has to stay with moody Florian. In fact, she's come to the realization that her husband's temper tantrums are becoming a pattern, and that scares her.
If he keeps acting like this, I don't know if it's worth staying with him because I don't want to be miserable the rest of my life.
I hate people disrespect.
Look at Florian's body language. He's got his arms wrapped around himself as he repeats the same thing over and over again. This doesn't seem like a temper tantrum. It's starting to feel like a much bigger issue. It feels like he's been triggered by something. Now, remember, right? Jasmine, while all of this is going on, is also in a sour mood because of her fight with Gino. So when Julia informs Jasmine that Florian is kicking up a fuss outside, Jasmine becomes even more irritated. She's also now even more pissed off.
If Florian is the problem, Florian stays out of the house, but Stacey's coming.
Yes.
Let's go and invite her.
So these two troublemakers head outside to confront Florian face to face. There's been drinks flowing, right? Florian is already angry. Jasmine is grumpy about her own marital problems. And they've also been in a long day of filming and group therapy. There's also already a lot of bad blood between Jasmine and Florian. So it doesn't take a genius to work out. This is a recipe for an absolute disaster.
They say that
it out loud.
I know here.
I never
do remember that.
She invited you, but she didn't say like, oh, Stacey.
I never remember that.
Florian is pretty much sticking his fingers in his ears and saying la 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 la. He's made up a narrative in his head and he's sticking with it. Now, his childishness is impossible to ignore. It's raising even more red flags for Jasmine. But not just about Florian. It's also now got her wondering how Stacey lets him get away with this. Does she let him act like this when they're back at home, she asks.
I love Stacey, but it gives me the impression that she's not acting like a wife. She's acting like a mother to him, and she has babied him.
Now, speaking of being babied, Brandon eventually comes out and he sits by Florian, rubbing circles in his back to soothe him. Brandon's goal is to try and hear the man out. But when Florian starts talking about respect again, Jasmine just can't help herself.
My college teach me to respect people, especially like friends.
Respect people. You're the most disrespectful people in there.
Shut the up! Shut your mouth!
So it begins.
And they're off. Something about Jasmine rubs Florian the wrong way. I think maybe Florian isn't used to women raising their voices at him. And for a man who can't stop going on about respect, what Jasmine is doing to him in front of all of these people and not for the first time feels incredibly disrespectful in his eyes. But it's about to get even worse.
I just hope that Stacey lift your ass woman.
Shut the
There's a woman like her.
Honestly, this is too much from both of them. Florian and Jasmine just seem to bring out the worst in each other. But while Jasmine has kind of learnt how to walk away from a fiery situation, Florian, by comparison, hasn't. His temper is completely out of control, and he just can't help himself. He rises to her bait every single time.
To hell, man.
Shut Chihuahua, you on a tree? You on a tree? You know how
Jasmine has seen the way that Florian speaks to Stacey, and she doesn't like it. She tells Florian, right, you might talk to Stacey that way at home, but you're definitely not gonna fucking talk to me like that. And boy, that enrages Florian even more. It's like pouring gasoline on the fire.
I'm not Stacey, okay?
Down.
I'm Jasmine and I'm crazy, dude.
Chihuahua, shut the up.
Eventually, Jasmine walks away while Brandon is left to try and pick up the pieces. Now, when Florian eventually calms down, Brandon repeats what everyone else has already told him, that he was invited. And finally, it sinks in. Maybe the key to getting him to listen is to rub his back in circles from now on.
Literally came out twice to invite us, but he was already set in his head he didn't want to go, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I want to help you.
Yeah. It's ruined now.
Florian looks embarrassed. Now that he's heard it from Brandon, a guy that he considers to be a nice, sweet guy, he's now maybe realised that it was never intentional. This has all been caused by him getting the wrong end of the stick. But what's done is done, and as Brandon leaves, Stacey lets her husband know just how much damage he's done tonight.
I don't know how we get past this. I don't know how we figure this out.
I don't know if I want to be with somebody like you. Dealing with this all the time.
Look, up until now, Florian has given the impression that he's at the resort just to support his wife. But we can all now see that he is the one with some gigantic issues to work on. Unless he quickly learns that lesson too, this resort, and indirectly Jasmine, might wind up costing him his marriage.